Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Blade Bias podcast. I'm joined by whatever the hell that is over there. Honestly,
That's
kind of
me, whatever the
scary.
hell that is. Yep,
That is
that's what they call
that
me.
is something I see in my nightmares,
You know what we don't
crawling at
see
me in
in
all fours.
nightmares? You know what we don't see in nightmares? Today's topics, what are they, Ethan?
Today we are going to be talking about largely your recent trip to Machinewise to document their facilities and all the
Yeah.
crazy things that you encountered and picked up while you were there. At least I think you picked up while you were there.
Boy,
Yeah, that's
howdy, did I leave
that's
there with a lot of interesting things.
he
A
stuffed his pockets
lot
full.
of very interesting things. A lot of
Martine, your
interesting
inventory guy dropped the ball.
things. Oh yeah, no. Actually, Martine had a hand in me having almost all of this.
Oh,
Martine, the
okay.
current president of Machinewise, may or may not have personally built this, and this might have one of the craziest stories I have of any battle song in my whole collection. But that's not all we're talking about today,
That
because
is
there's been a
not.
lot
We
of
will.
news,
There
a lot
has
of things
been,
happening.
and I would say the Christmas of the Ballad Song season. I don't know why I said Christmas. Christmas is just my favorite holiday, but like the biggest holiday of the Ballad Song season is coming up.
Blade Show,
There's a lot. There's a lot going
Atlanta.
on.
Yes, yeah, lots of
Blade
things.
Show's usually surrounded by a lot of activity. So we're gonna rapid fire through some of that, and then we'll get right into Brandon's trip to Machine Wise,
Machine,
and we'll see how it
yeah,
goes.
yep, and then that'll loop also into Blade Show. It's going to be a great time.
It's gonna be
Everything will
so
be
good,
interconnected in today's podcast, and it's going to be fantastic.
like
Yeah.
the
So I guess
MCU.
it's all. This is going to be an MCU level production for sure, definitely. This free podcast on the internet, MCU level, absolutely. In a previous episode of the podcast, we discussed the LDY kite and
Yes.
we made a guess for the price. The LDY Kite is a 440C blade titanium channel liner carbon fiber scale Balisong, and we made guesses about the price.
We did,
And I think we were both horribly wrong.
and I don't even
But
think it's because we made bad guesses.
no, we made extremely educated guesses. I think my guess was like $380 or something like that.
I think mine was like 320 to 340, somewhere in that range.
Which was an
Um,
extremely healthy guess for that type of product. Uh,
yeah,
it is, it was, because they did a limited run of them. Who knows when they'll come back? $220.
which is just it. It didn't even sound right when
Crazy
we
low.
discussed it before we started recording because it just
Yep.
is so low.
Which, which
Like
again,
it,
now that I've seen even more in depth how these things are made, that price for a titanium channel thing is baffling. But
it's
not in a good, not
just
in a bad way.
wild.
Like
Yeah,
when I
no.
say baffling with a very neutral inflection. So yeah, crazy. Good battle songs are getting cheaper and cheaper. Yeah, two
They
twenty.
are.
Have you flipped? You flipped it. I haven't flipped it.
Oh, you
You
haven't
flipped
flipped
it,
it
right?
yet. Yeah, the kite, it's
No,
pretty good.
I never flipped it.
I would describe it as a Kraken-esque experience, and I know all the Kraken lovers are gonna come at me for that, but it's like it's one of those ballast songs where it just does what you want it to do. It's got a little bit of goofiness with it, with like the rounded handles and the freaking
Mm.
crazy ass blade, but like it has that sort of handle bias, does what you want it to do sort of feel to it, and I think it's pretty
I'd,
good. I like it a
I'd
lot,
assume it.
especially for 220.
Does it feel at all similar to the Refault by
Not
Thomas Balisong? No.
it think of the refault but heavier and maybe a little more handle biased.
Okay. Okay. I really like the
But
Refault, by the way.
kind of similar. I think the refault. I'm going off of memory here. This could be take this with a grain of salt. I think the refault is a little bit more neutral than the kite, but
Okay.
it's been a minute.
Yeah, I believe they don't have a booth, but I believe LDY people will be at Blade Show, and I'm gonna assume people will have them there. So I'm excited to be able to try it. So it came
Yeah,
out for 220. What would you have been willing to pay for it? Like now that you've touched it What do you think
I
the
think it
actual value of it is?
I think it would have been a home run at like 320 or 340. Like we
Okay.
in the range that we were initially guessing, I think it would have
Yeah.
worked. I mean, like you have things like the Thomas Astra, which also kind of retail, as far as I remember, around that kind of range. And I would say it easily competes with and beats stuff like that. I think it's better than the Kraken personally, but I also am
Wow.
not a historically huge
Well, the
fan of the
Kraken's just
Kraken.
white bread.
Yeah, true. So, I mean, you finally get it after all these years. So,
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely how I feel. That's 100% how I feel. And we would never debate that. Sips tea.
we would never forget to discuss that for over a year
Oh, I
and
didn't
sit on that
forget. It just
footage.
it just
Sit on that footage for so
yeah.
long.
Yeah, one day. One day.
One
If
day.
you know, you know.
Um,
Um wow, we said that at the same time. Look at that. Beautiful. But so
we're
you
just
like it overall.
we're
You
just
think it
linked.
is
I
a
do.
300 plus. Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
it's a
excited to try it.
classic LDY story of it punches above its weight class, or at least its price class for what it is.
Cool.
Like easily.
It looks sick, and it seems like it is definitely more than a $220 ballot song.
Oh, absolutely.
And
The blade
that's
takes
even
a little
cracking
bit getting
price.
used to.
Okay,
I will say that.
interesting. Okay, yeah, it looks cool. I'm looking at my other monitor right now, and yeah, it's just beautiful ballot song. GG, GG, LDY. But yeah, then
GG.
from there, in terms of actual new news, emerging from the ashes of wherever they've been for the last year plus, we have a new glider balisong.
The Meridian. Okay,
The
this is the name is so weird to me. It's
I agree.
Moab X Meridian, which first of all, Bloons reference. That's epic. But um, I don't understand why they. It's a collaboration between a product that they previously made, which is the Meridian
Uh-huh.
Nautilus scales, but then a
Yep.
collaboration with something that doesn't exist. Like I don't usually a collaboration is between two established things. So how
Yeah.
can it be like it's probably not even a collaboration name. It's just the Moab X Meridian kind of
Yep.
makes you think of a collaboration, but the Moab doesn't exist. So how can you collaborate with something that doesn't exist? The name is weird. I'm going to call it the Moab. Funny Bloons reference. It looks cool.
Yeah, it seems like a more traditional step for LDY for glider to take, like at least
Mhm.
coming from the Antarctic and the Arctic, and the likes of that. It looks sweet. We had one of our Will Hirsch VIP Patreon supporters message me about it today. His name's Steven Scott. I met him at Blake
Ah,
Show, Texas. Great person. This is
yep.
Steve, if you're
I
watching
probably
this.
got the
Or
same rundown.
Steven, sup? We're chill. Love you. Thanks for the support. He said that he really likes it. He said, overall, another really good glider bally, although this one looks and feels more mainstream, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean. But it looks sweet to me. I have on the wall over there, so it's too far away for me to grab it. But with my new workbench I have here for shooting things and displaying things,
It looks so
uh,
sick.
I have thank you. I have the Nautilus scales that they made, and I love their Nautilus scales. So I'm a huge fan of them carrying over that kind of hole pattern.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the spacer system looks sick. It has a modular weight, but I think
7075.
I much more like they learned from the Glider Pacific of only having like three-ish different weight variants, and being able to more properly customize that, which is sick. And yeah, it just looks kind of like a no nonsense thing. It's a new blade. They didn't
Finally.
reuse the Arctic and Antarctic blade again, and it looks pretty cool. Some
I think
holes
it looks
just
great.
waiting for Zippy to fill. Um, but yeah, Glider is a kind of an enigma of a company to
They
me at
really
this
are.
stage. Like they did not post anything for over a year to
So
any of
here's
their social platforms at all, and that includes when I released my Glider Pacific review. The Glider
mm-hmm.
Pacific dropped, and then they sent one to me, and then they just never posted anything about it ever again, except for maybe like one post, maybe. And then now the Meridian is out. So it's fascinating the way they do things.
And some lore about the Moab. They just out of the blue sent me a picture of this thing. I want to say April of 2024.
Wow.
And they were like, "Hey, here's a new thing we're making. I'm going to send you one in a few weeks." And then they went dark for a year, and I just forgot about it. I sometimes it
That's
would pop in my head. I'd be like, "Hey,
crazy.
whatever happened to that thing?" And then lo and behold, I opened my phone a few weeks ago, and boom, there's the thing.
Yeah.
They're finally actually doing it.
Yeah, they went from March 11th, 2024, posting about the full reveal of the glider Pacific. Then their next post was April 30th of this year. And that includes story posts. I'm not saying like, oh, they haven't done any like main posts. Like, no, they didn't even do a story post about
Yeah,
almost any of this.
I don't know, man.
Um, but a lot of the color variants are sold out from what I'm looking at on the website right now.
It
As
lasted
we're
longer
recording
than I
this
thought it
on
was
May
going to.
20th. Yeah. But I get it. Like in the current market, I would be honestly surprised if it immediately sold out after they were radio silent for so
Yeah,
long. But it's a cool looking design. It looks unique, and just kind of no nonsense, and I think that is great. So I hope it's good and not as polarizing as the Glider Pacific was. But I really
yeah,
like the. I'm looking at it more closely. I like the colored handle with the kind of like white looking etching into it.
yeah. Like the kind
Um,
of dual tone.
yeah, and then the sides of the handles have the kind of Glider Pacific texture
Mm-hmm.
to it. It looks like so. It looks like it's a well-rounded thing. Looks like it has good jimping. Looks like the grip, like even though it's normal aluminum, it looks like that machining on the sides is going to give it a pretty decent amount of grip. Um, yeah, so I'm actually really excited to try it.
So am
Maybe I'll
I.
reach out to them for a review unit or something.
I'm hoping
But
someone at Blade Show will have one.
yeah, me too. Yeah, I'll wait to see. But it looks great. So
I'm excited for it.
yeah, and Steven, he's not like a crazy good flipper, but he's good enough, and so
You hear
he
that,
liked it,
Steven?
and he has a huge collection, like a huge collection. So he knows ballad songs pretty well. So I trust his opinion.
Yeah, and well, yeah, we'll have to see how well it's designed. But speaking of designs, I can tell you that the community sure did design because we have
But
our top three, Brandon,
we have
for
our top
Create
three.
with Nabales. By the time this
Yeah,
podcast is out, voting is either about to start or has started in the past few days, but voting should at least still be on, so you can head over and vote on the Nabales website. We have our top three.
for
We
Create
have,
with Nabalis. Yes,
which, if you don't
it's
know, is
here.
a community focus where you submit a design to Nabalis and then everyone votes on it, and the top one they'll make into an actual product that they will
Yep.
sell. Top three, the other two get a prototype, I believe, and then like
Yeah.
copyright over their design or something like that, which is really, really cool. No one else does anything like this in the community,
Yeah. Not even
and it's
close.
always a really cool thing. This resulted in the addition to Nabales' lineup of the Overlord, the Reverie, and the Bird of Prey last year. I'm sure Nabales has learned from their mistake and will not be doing the top three again,
Yeah.
but we will at
Yeah.
least be getting one of these.
Yeah,
So,
that them doing all three was a logistical nightmare.
I
And
bet. I
so
bet.
yeah, and from what I understand, that was never really the intent to do three from the top three from the get go. But then they did decide to do the top three. So yeah, I think it's for the best that they're correcting it and just focusing on one product. But yeah,
Yeah.
so there's the Boba song from Dasuko, and then the Crescent from IVILV X Jappy Balisong, and then the Flare by Alex Excel Art. And they're pretty cool.
They
They're
are.
all unique in their own way. It looks like they're all going to use G10 to some degree, which is interesting.
Oh, really?
I correct me if I'm wrong with the Crescent, but I believe that that will use. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, yeah, G10 and 7075 aluminum. So that will be it's interesting that all of them will feature G10 in some way. Unless the flare doesn't have G10, but it looks like it's supposed to. Maybe that's supposed to be a metal insert of some kind. I'm not actually sure.
I mean, we can take a look.
It's not linked on the, and obviously we're doing this podcast and not showing you.
No,
this, so
the flare is Teflon coated aluminum.
Okay. I guess it is a metal insert then.
Yeah.
Into it. But yeah, so 2 are using Teflon, and then 2 are using G10. But they all look really cool. I am a huge fan of boba tea. I love boba tea. So part of my heart, it wants that to exist, but I'm very glad that it will exist in some form. That
Right.
a
It will, like a
prototype will be
prototype.
made.
Yeah.
And so like each design like is cool. Like like the flare is black and red, and obviously I like black and red. And obviously it'll come in different colors, but that's a really, really cool design. The crescent, like they're all unique and they're all cool. But so it's cool that they will exist in some way, and that I really want to try the boba song, but knowing that I will in some way be able to try it,
Right.
makes me consider the other ones a little more closely. But it's a really cool competition that they do, and very generous of them to do it and to share the profits of it and go through and just signing up for, yep, we'll just make whatever the community votes on, is a very bold play from a machining standpoint, for sure.
It is.
Or machining and design standpoint.
I'm
And
sure the Bird of
everything's
Prey tested them last year because that thing was, whew.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, so check out the Create with, or the Nabalis website. You'll be able to vote there starting on May 26th. And you'll have a chance to make these bad boys come to life, because they are pretty incredible.
They are.
And very, all of these designs, like the from the previous Create with Nabalis campaign, even the Bird of Prey, I was questioning, like, is that gonna turn into a good Bala song? And they all turned into good Bala songs. These top 3 currently, I'm a lot more confident from a baseline that they'll be really solid. So I'm excited about that. But do you have any general thoughts on them?
Not particularly. I think they all kind of stand at the same level for me. Like, I personally wouldn't be mad to see any of these win. But I also wouldn't be
honestly
terribly mad to see any of them lose on the opposite end of that coin. Because I think my heart was a bit stolen. Pardon?
I think it's anyone's game.
Oh, for sure. I don't think I have a good idea of where it's going to go, because I think I've seen every single one of these designs. Like, when I went through and I looked at the top, I think it was the top 10, everyone in chat had their favorite, and it seemed like a lot of them were one of these 3, so it makes sense that these were the top 3. Yeah. Ultimately, my heart was stolen by some of the designs that didn't make it to the top 3, things like the treble or the bee.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see. The architect was so goofy that I just really wanted to see it at least prototyped.
Yeah, the treble had a lot of cool design inspirations for it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'm a huge fan of stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of, like, someone says, okay, here's this tangible thing that I was inspired by. Here's all the ways that I integrated that. Here's some other references that kind of pulled it from that. I love stuff like that. So Create with Nabalis is always fun to, like, go through and see all of these different designers, like, thought process, their design documents, stuff like that.
Yeah. It is a fascinating thing to witness. Like, just the most random people coming up with these banger designs and doing really good. And that's the beauty of it. Like, and they're doing, like, really good, like, 3D models for it too, which is not an easy thing to do, to make that stuff look good. So yeah, I'm super impressed across the board. So definitely participate in Create with Nabalis, because it's free and easy to do, and I best of luck to everybody, because it's a super super cool thing for
Absolutely.
sure. In terms of news, then, is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
Really, just like rapid fire stuff. Apparently, Squid is teasing the release of the Bowie Tsunami.
Oh, really? Is that a as of like today thing?
No, that
I
is
haven't
as
seen
of
it.
like it was on their story a few days ago.
Oh.
I think it was also in like a Blade Show group chat that Lucas posted in that I'm a part of for some reason.
Oh, I'm also a part of
Um,
that group
yeah,
chat.
I think he threw in pictures of the Bowie tsunami in there. I keep wanting to say Bowie Kraken.
Whoa. Ah. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a story they posted of Nautilus scales that are gold.
They also, so this is an unconfirmed report, but people in my chat the other day when I was streaming were telling me Live Blade Nautilus.
That would be very interesting. God, I'm trying to look at that at that story post. I can't see the blade in it. I know there Lucas had talked about that at or not talked about it like, oh, it's an official thing. It was a thing he was considering publicly to people at
Mm-hmm.
Blade Show Texas. So I would believe that that would be something that they would want to debut, particularly at Blade Show.
Yeah,
Have a
apparently
live Blade Nautilus.
he posted like Live Blade Nautilus in some like announcement channel that he has on Instagram. I'm not a
Mm.
part of any of the announcement channels because I think it's a weird concept overall, but I do see the gold Nautilus you're talking about. That looks pretty freaking sweet. I still need
And
to get
so
my ticket. I totally forgot about that.
those could be a live Blade Nautilus. So that's
It could be.
really cool. There's a lot of stuff I'm excited to try at Blade Show. I'm excited
Yeah.
to try the Parallax from Zippy, anything that Squid Industries
Ooh.
has. I'm excited to see if they've refined the Mako Live Blade. That would be cool if they had that or any refinements there.
They did post a change. Did you see the updated blade profile?
Yes, I did see the updated Blade profile. I think it looks better than it did.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
someone post on Reddit a alternate version of the Mako Live Blade, and it looked
Oh, really?
sick, like really cool. Arguably better
Hmm.
than even Squid Industries own. It would be a lot more complex to manufacture.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I'd assume that updated version that they posted will be the one they bring to Blade Show. Um,
I hope so.
but yeah, the first variant that I interacted with was literally they had made it the day before and like hand ground it and stuff. So
Oh,
I'm glad they
okay.
made changes to it. And I'm still fidgeting the crap out of my surf. Lucas
We'll
sent me a surf.
definitely
Yeah,
we'll definitely have a chance to talk about folding knives a bit later. But the only other thing I wanted to bring up was the 4 foot or whatever the hell tall
oh,
LDY Sirius that they are
yeah.
auctioning later this week. I think we should play the price game again. We did it with the kite. How much do
Oh
you think that
man.
they're gonna?
Okay.
How much do you think it's gonna get sold for? It's an auction. It's one of one, full metal. It stands taller than I sit, probably 3, 4 feet tall. I have to imagine it weighs more than 100 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing that came to mind in terms of a comparison point was the Bally scissors. The
Right,
Bally scissors ended up auctioning for what, like
like
10 grand?
10K.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's of course like a one of one kind of product that now with hindsight, that product may never exist. Uh, maybe it will one day. But Contraption Collection it hasn't posted any major updates on it in a long time.
mm-hmm.
So just the raw value of this big serious, as they're calling it in their post, just the raw value of that is in the multiple thousands, if not,
Probably.
like, I would say the cost for them to have produced that and machined that and gone through all those steps. Like, I've seen the machines that they
Right.
make this shit on. I don't even know how they got the handle like in there, and how the machine had the ability to even go that far. It had to have been a huge machine that made it. Uh, just the raw value is at least 3 to 4 grand. Like, if they were to sell it as a standalone product. So I don't know how much people will care about that kind of thing,
Yeah, that's where
but I
I get stuck on it, cuz the thing with the Bally scissors is the Bally scissors project went so far beyond the Balisong community. Like you had just everyday knife people watching Contraption Collection. His videos got millions of views total.
yeah.
Um, and LDY doesn't have that reach. I mean, they might, but like they're mainly Balisong people that are aware of who LDY is. And then the
Yep.
other thing is like, what the fuck do you do with it when you have it? You're not flipping that thing. It would break your hand if you closed it on it.
Yeah.
It it sits in a corner. So I don't know. On one hand, I'm like, it could go for a lot because it's like huge and it's metal and it's so special. On the other hand, I don't know if people are gonna care to bid that much because like
Yeah,
it's gonna be the most cumbersome
given
thing in your entire room.
given do not underestimate Balisong collectors.
That is
There
fair.
are people
Yeah.
out there that, like, even we'll dive into more of the Machinewise stuff later, but it was either Martine or Dalen that was telling me that there was somebody that was collecting like every version of like the Seraph or something like that, and had ordered like, I don't know how many, uh like at least like 10 or 20.
What the
Martine or Dalen
hell?
could correct me, but it was something like that where somebody had gone to like a crazy effort and like wasn't posting about it, wasn't sharing it anywhere. But there are some people with some unbelievably large Balisong collections that you never hear about. So a one of one biggest Balisong that's ever existed. Because there have been big Balisongs, but they've been like the BRS ones that are made out of wood. This
Yeah, or like the
seems like,
Megalodon.
yeah, it will. Yeah, and even the Megalodon, that is still like a hand. Like, you could handle that. You could
Yeah.
fit that in a. If you closed it up, you could fit it into a large backpack.
Right.
If you really needed to. This, like, I'm looking at it right now, and it's as tall as the person holding it. Like, it's insane. It's
It
probably
is.
double the size of the Megalodon. Um, so yeah, I don't know. My guess, I would hope they would get 5 grand for that. That would be my hope.
I think I'm gonna have to guess. I guessed on stream. I already forgot what I guessed on stream. I'm gonna guess maybe 7 grand.
Okay. It's so hard to know, especially when it's an auction and it could just come down
Right.
to a bidding war. Like, it could very much come down to the, like, I don't know how they're actually going to run it either. I don't know if it's going to be like it says 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I guess they'll just leave something up, and then whatever it goes to, it goes to. But
Right.
so I would hope they would get at least 5 grand. I could see it going as high as 10, though.
Okay.
But, or not as high as, maybe even as high as like 15. But I don't know. I don't know how much interested there. This has literally never been done before. Nothing like this has
Right.
ever been sold before, so it's hard to gauge. But it's really cool that they've done it and that they were able to even achieve it, let alone put it together. But I'm so curious. Is that thing gonna have good handle swing, or is it just gonna be locked up? Like, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think it
But
fully functions. I think I've seen a video of him swinging it around a little
yeah,
bit. But yeah, that's crazy.
yeah.
And they had to be, pretty smart to machine that. Pretty wise, some might say. Had to be machined a little bit wisely.
You know, if only
Only the
there was
best
somebody here
segues
that
here.
knew about things that were machined wisely. Oh,
Oh,
there
are
was
you telling
somebody.
me that you
Yeah.
perhaps recently took a trip down to Arizona, down to Phoenix, Arizona to tour the random shop of Machinewise, also
And
known
shot.
as.
Sorry, finish your spiel.
No, I think you did what?
It's not nearly as sinister as what you thought I was going to say.
I
Finish
mean,
what you were going to say.
you just
I
said
want to leave you in suspense.
you did what to someone? Okay. Um I forgot what I was going to say. I'm too busy thinking about you shooting.
We shot for 5 days straight.
Yeah.
For comparison, our Squid Industry shoot we did in 2021, in terms of like our YouTube videos, that was about 2 days. And then the
Okay.
previous Machinewise trip we did, I think, was 3.
Okay.
For our YouTube stuff was basically just 2, but this was 5.
Jeez. So
And
that's something
yes, it
that's
was a
something that I
lot.
always forget. You've been there before. I
Yeah.
For some reason I
So they're
keep
in an
thinking
all new
this is like a
space.
debut. Yeah, they have their new space. So basically what we're going to do is I'm just going to try and ask a bunch of questions
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
going
What
to
do you
tell
got?
me everything you can. If I
Yes.
ask something that they don't want people to know, we can just skip on by.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not here to reveal any industry secrets or any the intimate information that they shared. And boy, did they share a lot. But you're never gonna learn that. So sorry.
Damn.
But yeah. So
Can't learn that at
just to
Battlesong
refresh your
College.
brain in terms of what questions you have for me, I have these
Yes.
Machinewise sonoras. One of them is Will's. One of them is mine. One of them is a
Oh, okay.
pre-production sonora. So let me get it nice and focused here. So we have this. Oh, and let me do it friendly because I'm going to be vertical. This is insane and one of the most unique sonoras that has ever
I
existed.
want a Sonora so bad, but like,
This is a
oh,
production sonora, which is Will's, and
it's so pretty.
it's pretty pretty.
If you've
There's
never held a
that.
Sonora, that the action on those things is addictive. I
Yeah, so the Squid Industry Surf, it's really smooth, and like really pleasant to deploy.
mhm,
But it does not have, like, it has a decent amount of smoothness, but as you can
right.
see there, like it does stop. But this, it is like literally on glass. It's basically exactly like a Balisong tune, which I'll dive into later. But holy crap, is it so much harder to get this kind of tune on a pocket knife than it is a Balisong. Like,
Right.
it's crazy. But then there's that, and then I have this random piece, which there's a reason I have this, and then I have this random piece,
Mm. It's a
which
nice
is
blade.
an actually functioning knife. So why is it by itself? I can explain that if you'd like to know that. I have this cool dice that they made, that they
Ooh.
gave to us. I have the Sonora box, which is really unique. And I don't think you know about this. Here is one of their QC cards. Here is also one of their QC cards.
Sorry. Did that say did that say clip that chat?
Maybe, maybe. And yeah, yeah.
That is fucking incredible.
So what do you want to know, Ethan? What do you want to know?
Oh my gosh. I mean, as much as I want to know about all that right away, my question, and I think the question on most people's minds when it comes to Machinewise, because your previous video that you guys did is really like the best look that we have ever had into Machinewise.
Yeah,
Machinewise doesn't have like the YouTube presence that Squid does, so they don't do like the new factory tours or like any of the stuff that you see from Squid typically.
yeah.
So I think my biggest question is what has changed there since the last time that you have been? Like what
Everything,
how different's the vibe there
everything.
now?
It
Give it Actually
is
before you answer that, Give us a small primer. Like, what is the layout like? What's their new setup?
So when we were there in 2023, it was right before Martine was brought on. Martine is now
Right.
the lead engineer and the president of Machinewise. Um, the previous shop, it was just things were put wherever they fit, and they just kind of figured it out from there. And it was all one room. The whole facility was one
Right.
giant room. And thing machine like it wasn't like necessarily like super disorganized by any stretch of the imagination, but things were definitely just like, yeah, there's space for it here, so we'll plop it there. But there wasn't a lot of thought put into like how things actually flowed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Everything has been completely, because in their new space, it's been very intentionally redesigned from the ground up. Basically everywhere has its own dedicated space now. There's a dedicated office. There's a QC area, an assembly area, a kitchen, which also is the like the anodization area, and then the machine shop is one big line of machines. And
Oh,
then
okay.
on one side of the room, and then the other side of the room is basically all inventory, minus the lathe that they have. But they have gone from when we were there in 2023, they had 2 employees. They now
Right.
have 11.
Damn.
Yeah.
They're
And
upsizing.
so, well, and then they also have their own dedicated finishing room as well, where they
Oh,
call it
okay.
the dirt room, because that's where they're doing things that like sharpening, and things that generate dirt, and
Right.
things like that. But no, I am so unbelievably impressed by their whole team. And Martine in particular has been nothing but good for their company. And you and I have had extensive conversations about like, oh, why are they discontinuing this and why are they discontinuing that, or like why are they making this change or that change. Martine is so calculated in like everything that he does, and I fully trust basically every decision that that man makes. He is so calculated and so calm, and so many of the changes they've implemented are not just for an efficiency thing, like, oh, we need to pump out more products, we need to do more this and that. So much of the changes they've made have been purely for their employees and their happiness. And that's actually like
Good.
that's been one of
That's
the main
good to
reasons
hear.
they brought as many people on as they have, is so that other people can go on vacation and not feel like they're abandoning Machinewise because, oh, hey, their one assembly tech wants to go on vacation, and so that means everybody else has to pick up the slack, or they don't pick up the slack and then they can't sell anything, and then they have to,
Right.
the person that went on vacation has to come back and be horribly stressed out because they have all this shit that they have to catch up on. Like, no, like they have been making such calculated efforts to uh, just completely refine everything that they're doing and keep track of everything, have a better understanding of like how much money they're making, making sure everything has a dedicated process that's double and triple checked, making sure that they're working ahead, so that they're not like making things week to week, because they were in various situations in the past where it was like, well, we aren't going to be able to do a drop this week, so the
Right.
entire future of the company is now in jeopardy, because we can't do a drop this one week. So like everything that they've been doing has been trying to keep that scenario from happening. The 2 people that are still there are Jacob and Will. Will is their anodization and assembly person. Then Jacob's their machinist. They now have 2 full-time, like just dedicated machinists, and then another person that is also kind of uh, an engineer, and a machinist.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have 2 finishing people. And then one of their biggest, most influential hires was Garrett, also known as NRB, who you've
NRB.
owned NRB Songs.
I have, and I've loved them.
And what a guy. Like, holy shit. He is a blast of a human being.
Yeah.
And everybody there works so hard, but not like more than they need to, which is cool.
Right.
Like they were talking a lot about like, I care so much about what I'm doing when I'm here. but I get to clock out, and when I'm not at work, I don't have to think about it, and that is a beautiful
That's the
thing.
best. Yeah.
Uh, because it didn't used to be like that at Machinewise. It was basically every
Right.
day was like having to work long hours and having to push through this, push through that. Dalen going on like 48-hour long work binges to get products out, and that's just not sustainable. So everything they've been doing has been in the name of stability and sustainability, um, and everybody seemed happy. So yeah, it was a total treat getting to be there, getting to work with them. Uh, and yeah. So in terms of what's changed, literally everything,
It's
except they have a couple of the same employees and they also still make serifs.
fair enough.
Everything else has changed.
It sounds like they've gone from more of like a grassroots, like scrappy get up and go to more of like a refined figuring things out, kind of putting the correct processes in place. More
Yeah.
professional, I guess you could say,
Yes.
operation, which
Yeah,
is cool.
they regularly brought up how they feel like a real company now.
Okay,
Like and
fair.
have like in terms of the process they have, and even like they have currently this could change, but I don't think they have any intentions of it changing. They have like unlimited paid time off. They have like full medical and like maybe dental. Don't quote me on that, but it's at least like full company paid like medical insurance.
That's
Which for a
great.
company their size is yeah, like it's crazy. So everybody there was genuinely happy to be working there, and everybody like got along, and
Gosh,
yeah.
makes me want to move to
So
Arizona, and I hate Arizona.
they
No offense.
yeah, so I know none of them like the heat, so I don't
Yeah, I
know
don't think
if
anyone
they'll
really would.
always stay in Arizona. But yeah, it was amazing getting to see uh, so in depth the full process, and Martine and everybody was fully transparent about like everything. And
That's
that's
very
actually like
cool.
partially why I walked away with some of the things that I walked away with, because they're like, yeah, sure, go for it. Um, but yeah, and so I guess also in terms of what's changed to wrap up that whole spiel, a lot of what they've been doing has been specifically to allow Dalen to not have to be responsible for as many things, because
Right.
he was always like the person designing it, or designing the products, and then the person like designing the pallets, and then the person who, or the pallets being the things that they screw the parts onto so they can be machined, and like designing the programs for the machine, what the machines were running, and they weren't doing a lot of like documentation of those processes. So it was like,
Right.
if you want to know how to do it, ask Dalen, and not like refer to this document and then you'll know how to do it. So everything that they've been doing has been trying to reduce the load that Dalen has had, because he's kind of the person that was able to do every single stage of the process.
Right.
But that's a lot for one person to have to do on top of running a company. And so that's where Martine has come in, and taken on a lot of that work, and then they've redistributed everything to other people.
Okay.
And so that's been from what I understand, an extremely positive change, uh, that has been nothing but good for them.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, yeah.
And that kind of leads into my next question. I have been curious ever since, you see emails from Machinewise and it always they're Martine. Martine's like their forward facing in a lot of ways he fills the spot that I think Dalen kind of used to,
Mm-hmm.
where it seems like Martine is kind of Machinewise. So where is Dalen at with it? Like what is has he stepped
Um,
back at all? Is he
so that is a fairly complex subject,
okay?
or an actually extremely complex subject, that's relatively personal in a lot of ways. So I won't get too much into the nitty gritty of it, but I know a thing that, Martine, in the interviews that we did with him, one of the things he was actually very adamant about wanting to make sure people understood is that he is not, ooh, I'm the businessman and I'm gonna come in and puppeteer Machinewise, and Machinewise is mine now. Ha ha ha. I'm coming in and I'm changing this and I'm changing that. Like, no. it has been very much a collaborative process with Dalen in terms of them both figuring out how they want to run the company. And also, Dalen talked a lot about he's a machinist.
Mm.
He is not the face of a company. He is not a social media person. He is not an assembly tech. He is not a manager. He's not
Right.
a he's just not built for a lot of those things. Or at least maybe not, I can't say not built for it, but he just doesn't enjoy a lot of those things. And
Right.
so in terms of their relationship, like Martine and Dalen's relationship, it's very much been Martine trying to figure out ways that Dalen can feel more comfortable in what he's doing. And Dalen has nothing but 100% confidence in Martine,
That's
and
awesome.
trusts him fully, like through and through, no questions asked. If Martine has an answer to something, that's the right answer. It was
Cool.
Dalen's kind of stance with it. So yeah, if there's any fears that like Martine is coming in and like changing things that Dalen doesn't want changed and all that, it is not that case at all. No, it's very much been Dalen trusts Martine to implement the things that he thinks needs to be implemented. Uh, and Dalen has very much fallen into the role of, like in one of the interviews that we did, was Martine was talking about how he's the person designing a lot of the stuff now. That he's the one, specking the tolerances for the part, doing the designs, uh, and figuring all that out. And then Dalen comes in, and he's the one that realizes the dream. He's the one that takes all of
Okay.
Martine's ideas, and he's the one that actually implements it and figures out how are we going to make it, what's the best way to make it. So something like the Sonora, for example, that very much was Martine's design that he wanted to pursue, but Dalen was the one that pushed for it to be an integral or channel handle. In the EDC world, they would call it integral, where it's one piece, like a channel ballast song would be,
Right.
and that it had to be a button lock. So it was on
Thank
Dalen
God.
and Martine to go through and figure out how are we actually going to make that. And recently they announced I guess that's something we could also talk about in terms of news. I did not see this when I was there. They have the Opus V2,
The Opus
that
V2, indeed.
yeah, that they recently announced. Which my thoughts on that, in a nutshell, are I think it's awesome looking. I'm really excited to try it. That's not an Opus.
It's
Uh,
we think the same thing then. I'm like,
Yeah,
it looks
I
like a
believe it's
great
using
ballad
the
song.
same blade, like at least a very
Yes.
similar blade. It has some design inspirations, but that looks more like a different Sasori,
I
not a Opus.
It's kind of
Uh,
my biggest like problem with Machinewise lately is all of their designs just look the same now. Like they all just are kind of Sasoris,
yeah,
and I'm not
uh,
a huge fan of it because I love the original Opus, and I know I'm the guy who loves all the old Machinewise stuff. Like the new stuff looks great,
yeah.
looks awesome. It was designed well. I'm sure it's fantastic, but like it just doesn't feel like an Opus. It's kind of like how the Opus was supposed to be a serif, and then people saw it and they're like, "That's not a fucking
That's
serif.
yeah,
What are you
yeah,
talking about?"
yeah. And so that's actually something that I have a unique lens into now because I looked at a lot of the comments on the posts that they made, and I saw a lot of Martine. So Martine exclusively runs all of their social media stuff now. If you're
Mm.
interacting with Machinewise, like their Instagram, it's 100% guaranteed it's Martine that you'll be talking with. I saw a lot of his replies to different things, and I have that unique lens into their development process now. In that, when we were there, which was April 20th to the 28th, it's now
Mm.
May 20th. They didn't have they discussed like, yeah, I think we're going to do an Opus V2, but they didn't have a design in hand for that. And then in less than a week, they bang out this design. And from what I understand, very much this is what Dalen wanted.
Okay.
Martine had his own things that he wanted to do, but Dalen really likes the Sasori-esque kind of texture and wanted to continue that, and tried to merge the two designs. So I think that's cool. I think it would be better to have said it was inspired by the Opus.
Yeah.
It just because it's such a large departure from what the Opus originally was. But their process is very collaborative, and they spend a lot of time going through things. Like he even discussed, and I did a dedicated video about this with him, how the Sonora, when it was in development, him and Dalen went through like 6 to 8 weeks of like 10, 12, 14, 16-hour days, if
Damn.
not 24
Damn.
hour days, and like basically redesigning it over and over to try to get it to work the way they wanted to. And the most they would do is go home and catch a cat nap and then come back and then completely redesign things from the ground up. So a lot of what they've done is very much trying to lean into Martine's strengths and also allowing Dalen to lean into his strengths and then distribute the workload to other people
Right.
that they trust to do that. And there's been a lot of growing pains from what I understand, especially when you're bringing on like new people that aren't as experienced and aren't as familiar with the process and stuff like that. But yeah, Martine is he is the president of the company and he's currently steering the ship.
Okay.
But it's very much Dalen, and what Dalen wants is still the beating heart of the company. And so that I thought was really cool, because that's
Very
definitely
cool.
as they expanded into everything that they were expanding into, it just became too much for Dalen to handle all on his own. They even talked about where he would put in like 110, 120 hour weeks, which a lot of that wasn't even making products. It was just managing everything. And he's not a manager. He is not a manager. And that's okay. But Martine is a manager. He is good at doing that. He's good at facilitating like company relationships and employee things and managing the products and doing the social or the advertising and figuring out schedules for people, figuring out things like healthcare and like all that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
so yeah.
Very cool. Well, you mentioned not the Seraph. You mentioned the Sonora there a few times. I
Yep.
think my next big question is they have obviously seen a lot of success with their folding knives, the Mojave, the Sonora. Have they changed their focus at all to focus more on that? Do they still see themselves as like a balisong company or like an EDC company or a folding knife company or whatever? And how has the success of the Sonora kind of trickled down into their other processes?
That's a great question. And I'm glad that I have the answers to that, especially because I've now listened to and categorized over 5.5 hours of interviews with 4 separate Machinewise employees. So I
There you
can
go.
answer that question in great
Feels
detail, but I
it feels
won't
like a
go
question I
super in depth.
should like interview Machinewise about, but I mean, since you're here and you were just documenting all of that stuff, it seems appropriate to
Martine,
ask.
I can guarantee would be 150,000% down to be a co-host be a guest on this podcast. I guarantee
We
that
will
he
have
would
to
be
look
down for
into
that.
that. Let us know if it's something
He
you
would
maybe want
be
to
an
see.
amazing
He would
podcast
be.
guest.
Martine's a great
Martine, if you're
guy.
listening to this, yeah, fantastic person. He was nothing but overwhelmingly generous with us and so supportive in everything that we did. He's an incredible person. Uh, but so to answer that question, I don't think this is private information. Martine, I apologize if this is private
Uh
information.
oh.
But the way he described where Machinewise is at is their heart is still as a balisong company, but they have moved away from balisongs as the bill paying product.
Okay.
They will always make a balisong, is what they've committed to. Both him and Dalen committed to. They will always have a balisong in production. Stuff will come in, stuff will come out. They're not always going to be making everything, but they will always be somewhat regularly producing a balisong product. And Dalen at one point, this is the thing that may be private, maybe not, but in terms of the place that they were at and why they pivoted in the way that they did, was they reached a point where if they were only making balisongs, they would probably be out of business now.
Right.
And so that's where the Sonora, being as successful as it is, and it is unique in that it's a button lock folder with their incredibly implemented bushings that they do. And so that's where they were not going to be able to survive at the scale that they needed to be at, only making balisongs.
That makes sense.
And so that's where things like the Mojave and the Sonora have come in and allowed them. What Martin was saying was what it allows them to do. And this is kind of interesting with the Opus V2, is he said he really wants to be able to make a balisong that you are going to love. He also wants to be able to make a balisong that you're going to hate.
Right.
That's the kind of stability that they want to have. They don't want to have it be, oh, the community doesn't like this design. Well, our entire company is now in jeopardy because we can't produce hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these. So that's where things like the Sonora and Mojave come in, is that can support them financially, that can keep the ship afloat, and then they can have fun with these different balisong designs, and they don't have to keep pushing out tons and tons and tons and tons of balisongs, because that's not what they're ultimately relying on at the end of the day. But they love balisongs, and that's still very much the heart of what they do. And being as good as they are at balisong tunes is what allowed them to get as good as they've gotten at tuning this.
Right.
Weirdly, it decided to lock up there. Okay, no, it's fine. It's because you have to hold the button down for it to swing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so a fascinating detail about this, I guess. So a balisong, there's a reasonable amount of play and swing that is tolerated and expected, because you want the handles to swing, obviously. And so their bushing tunes still have to be really precise, like super precise. But compared to their Sonora tunes, Garrett described, because he's the person that does a lot of the Sonora assembly, he said that with the Sonora, if you were to take the bushing that is inside the Sonora and you were to sand it about 2/10,000ths of an inch, it would no longer freely swing. Which is like nothing compared to their bushing tunes. And in one of the interviews, he said, it's a bitch, but it's damn good. So they have a lot of, they're very proud of the Sonora, especially because of how much they went through with it. But what that allowed them to do in a lot of cool ways was, like Martin talked about the Marin, their older design, which the Opus V2 is on the Marin platform, which is like stuff like the Prisma Pro, the Marin, the Slift T, the Seraph, or most variants of the Seraph are all on that platform. Martin was talking about like how cool it was that Dalen was able to like go through this like 48-hour work binge to create that, and he emerges from that fever dream and has this amazing product in hand. But that can't happen on a regular scale. That can't happen with any kind of regularity. That's not a realistic thing. And that's another thing they did with the Sonora, was they have been in this process of learning how to efficiently produce things and how to bring the whole team together so that they can all problem solve to make it better.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Martine said at one point that like their products are not designed in a vacuum. It's not just Dalen or just Martine. Like Martine, he'll go to the whole team and be like, "Hey, this is my design for this blade. Do you think that this blade like fits this handle? Do you think it fits into it well? Do you think it should have this? Do you think it should have that?" And then in terms of when they're producing it, like the machinists, they talk to the assembly people. The assembly people talk to the machinists, and they're having the discussions of like, hey, could we make this hole a little bit bigger, or make
Right.
this tolerance a little bit different, or make this thing wider, or this thing smaller. So the assembly people will say that to the machining people, and then the machining people will be like, hey, this is how we think we're going to do this, this, and this. Do you think that will make sense for this, this, and that? And so that's something through the development hell that the Sonora went through. It was very much an eye opener of like how they need to delegate their processes, how they need to document everything more efficiently. And it's very much I think it represents Dalen or Martine described the Sonora as the absolute pinnacle of what they can make without getting absolutely stupid on price. And I would say that's accurate. Like it is just a beautifully made knife that just functions really well. And I
Man,
would and
I
you
would
love
love to
what?
see what balls to the wall Machinewise is.
I know, right? Yeah,
That'd be
yeah. Well, and they even them learning all of that played a big role in the surf because Machinewise did the buttons for the surf and helped like them
Oh,
with
okay.
that whole mechanism, and that's one of the reasons that the surf is as smooth as it is, uh, because Machinewise had a hand in that because they went through development hell trying to figure out how to make this, because it the what's the way Dalen described it is like this like the bushing is difficult to do, right? But this is an incredibly simple thing ultimately. It just
Yeah, there's
has
no
to be
locking mechanism. There's
yeah, there's
no
no locking mechanism. Like just looking at like the blades on this stuff, like even the Mojave, this is fairly I don't want to say basic, but this is far less complex than what the Sonora blade has, because it's specifically a button lock. The Mojave is a
right.
frame lock, but this being a button lock, there's so many different things that they had to go through. So I think to answer your question of like how it's affected the company, I think it opened their eyes to the collaborative aspect of all of this and how it's not just one person that can that should be steering the ship and having all the answers to everything.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
So, having the having gotten my investigative journalism itch scratched, tell us about your little your trinkets that you brought home. I
Ah,
personally
yes.
want to know all about this Seraph, but I also am extremely interested to see those authenticity cards again.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to craft this narrative. I don't want to how you. I don't. I can't speak. Apparently, I don't know how you want to keep going. But
I think I need to save the QC cards for last. I think I
okay,
need to
fair
save those
enough.
for last.
Fair enough.
Um, One thing I think I can speak to that is actually extremely relevant to this, but it's important for me to explain it before, is why I have these.
Yeah.
This blade, I watched Garrett and Martine discussing this blade. This is a completely finished blade. It is sharpened and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Fully finished, fully like everything. It's been tumbled, like it has gone through every stage of the production. They got to the final stage of it, and they did. If you look here, oh, let's focus close. If you look here, there's these three little dots. That, thank you. Yeah, no, good. Yeah, binoculars, hand binoculars, good. Those three dots are from them hardness testing their blade,
Oh, right.
which is HRC. It's a rating of hardness. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they shoot for like a 61 to like 62 hardness rating. I believe
That's
this
high, is it not?
it's
I'm not a
about generally for a good blade with like decent edge retention, you want between like 55 and like 62. That's
oh,
generally
okay,
what
so
would
they're
be
right in
expected
there.
for like a good well-made blade that's been properly heat treated. And that's what this process is. It's when it's heat treated. That's where the
Okay.
hardness comes from. This, I believe, had an HRC of like 58 or 59. So, oh, it's too far. Hold on.
I think I know where
So,
this story is going.
they took this blade, and I watched them do this. Because the hardness was just very slightly below their standard.
That's a testament to Machinewise for you.
Yeah, so naturally, oh, there it is. So I was like, I watched them do that. Separate from me, I wasn't part of this conversation. I just watched them do that, and I was like, if you are literally throwing that in the trash, can I take it? like, like that's not gonna be like recycled or anything like no, yeah, we just chunk it. Like, can I have it? Like, because that's a fascinating piece of history and a fascinating representation of like that they went through all of this, but because it wasn't to their standard, toss it. It's out.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I have this is I think this is a otherwise completely fully functional Sonora handle. And it looks like beautiful.
Place your bets. What's wrong with this one?
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think is wrong with this one?
I
Why do you think
think
this was trash?
I mean,
And it does have blemishes. It's not because of a blemish.
is it not be I see like a little bit of discoloration unless it's just how the light's catching it. Oh, wait. It might not even be discoloration. It looks almost like there's some sort of like protrusion of some like it got pushed out or maybe dented in. I can't
Yeah,
tell from how this light's hitting it.
yeah. I believe it's a mix of that. Yeah. So you the
Yeah,
anode is
there's
just
like
a little bit off, but I think also one of these holes is about 1/10,000th of an inch off, and so it's done. All right, it's trash.
Holy cow.
So watching them do that was wild. Like there was even while we were there, I won't disclose the intimate details of this, but there was a batch of products that basically had to be tossed because the surface grinder, they accidentally surface ground it like once again like 1 or 2 10,000ths of an inch too much.
Do they
And so
lose a
they
ton
just
of money on scrapped parts? Because that has to be expensive
yeah.
to go through
Yep.
all that
Well, and that
effort.
is partially baked into their pricing these days too. They have to account
Oh,
for their scrap rates. And so that's kind of part of the equation of like what they're selling is like there is going to be an expected amount of scrap. And they try to reduce that as much as they possibly can. And they were saying they
right.
scrap way less than they used to. But those things just kind of happen sometimes, and it like it is an imperceivable error,
They
but
really
they
should
know that it's wrong.
capitalize on that and sell it.
Yeah, so that is how we get led to this guy.
Okay.
This Serif is made of 100%, not one. Okay, no, not 100%. Probably 80 to 90% all scrap parts.
It's insane.
They were sitting in a bin, like just a little plastic bin. My autofocus isn't working. Okay.
It looks like you've got one of my handles.
Pretty close, yeah. Yeah,
No,
pretty
other
close. Here,
side.
yeah, and I'll give the
Yeah, that left handle there. I guess it's not exact, but
yeah,
it
pretty
looks
close.
very close to what I've
Yeah,
got on mine.
yeah. So they had this giant bin of not giant. It wasn't like hundreds and hundreds of things, but it was just a box of scrap handles, Prisma handles, Tsunami, old Opus handles, old random NRB things that because NRB or they machine like one of the very first NRB battle songs. By the way, complete tangent. Uh, Garrett had the first Koenig that was ever made, which was made by Machinewise as like a prototype. They didn't make the rest of them, but it was like a prototype thing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That Koenig, it's a Koenig V1. That I would say was in out of every ballast song that I own in my top 5 ballast songs of all time. That random Koenig prototype was so good in
Yeah.
every way and felt
Ooh.
amazing. Like it blew my mind. I could not put it down. Like when I was there, because he had various versions of his products and stuff. When I was there,
Mm-hmm.
Martine had a party, like a rap party, after or shoot rap party. Uh,
Oh, I was
yeah,
gonna
not
say
a
you guys
rap
all
where we
drop
yeah we
like
were
you guys all
yeah
drop
dropping
bars or
sick beats. Yeah. um, but so they did that, or so he did that, and Garrett brought his various NRB things, and I just sat there flipping that thing nonstop. I miss it right now. It was amazing, and it was made by Machinewise.
I
So
want to
just
try it
crazy.
now.
Yeah. Hopefully one day you will. If he ever gets to come to a Blade show, I hope that he brings it. But yeah, so I was looking at this bin of components of just the different like prototypes they had made for different people, old prototypes of their products, and Will has his janky Tsunami
Right.
that was made from all scrap components. So he has a scrap component Grail ballast song, and I'm like, I can't pass up the opportunity to walk away with a Grail level ballast song because I have my main actual Seraph, which is already incredible and very unique. But Martine was just like, yeah, man, go through it. Let me know what you want. And so I just went through and selected from that the different components that I wanted. And so this had a cool floral pattern to it,
Yeah, that's
and this
awesome.
did too. So I have officially dubbed this because it has a floral pattern. This is my compost serif because it's scrap and it has
Oh.
flowers on it. But another really
And it's
interesting
been
thing,
reused,
yeah,
kind of.
another interesting thing you may notice the tip of the blade. The
Oh.
tip didn't have this tab properly removed. So it was scrap. But I'm like, that's a
Oh.
cool detail. So I want one. So for comparison, here's a normal serif tip. So it has just that little remaining tab on it because it's a full tab that extends out, and then there's a circle that's meant for so it can be held down to the
Is
pallet,
it sharp?
so it can be machined. No, this is a completely dull
Okay.
blade.
Gotcha.
Um, but so I brought to William and Garrett or William and Martine like here's the batch of random parts that I think I want. Uh, and then Martine and William both by their own hand assembled this for me. And some of the components didn't want to go together properly, so they had to use an arbor press to like bend things into shape to get it to be able to go together, which is another reason that they were scrap components because they just have small things. Because a lot of the stuff they'll scrap, like it's technically usable, but the amount of handwork that would go into making it usable just doesn't make
Right.
sense financially. So they just use it for like that's why this has like anodizations on it and stuff is because they wanted to test doing anodizations on it. So they have parts that they can do that with. But yeah, So they got it to a point where it sounds incredible and basically like a Seraph always would. And it flips amazing.
That's
And it's basically a
that's
trainer
wild.
Seraph for me now, because it doesn't have an edge on it. Which like they asked, like, "Oh, do you want an edge on it?" I'm like, "No, no, I like this weird little tab thing." Uh, and Martine personally lasered on it for me. Uh, 42069 BC 69 for Brandon Clone 69.
Brandon Clone
Um,
69.
yeah. So the hardware is new. The hardware is not
Okay,
scrap
so that's the
hardware. So that's
10% that wasn't.
yeah. So all the hardware is proper. Oh, and another really fascinating detail, and this is a major reason this is scrap. So it's going to be kind of hard to perceive. This is a normal serif kind of texture, right? If you look at this handle, you'll see. Let me see how close I can actually get this to focus. You'll see a bit of flatness here,
Yeah,
specifically near the top, where it's supposed to meet in the middle, like it does here,
right.
but it doesn't. So that's the reason this component was scrapped, because I guess it probably wasn't like
Oh,
seated into the pallet properly, and it was maybe too low, or the machine didn't go down low enough. So it did the full operation, but it was just slightly off. So one scale, or one, because it's Chandwich, one piece of the handle is weirdly smooth. All the other ones are normal, but this one is strangely smooth, because it literally doesn't have the texture properly machined into it. And I love it for that.
that's really cool.
I love it for that. Um, and so yeah, I now have not quite the equivalent to what Will had with his janky tsunami. But the fact that they were able to put this together after it was just in a giant bin of parts was so cool. So yeah, they gave this for free, full disclosure, and we have affiliate code with Machinewise. But I promise I've tried to separate myself from all of that, because I do just genuinely respect them so much, or not that, but yeah. So they did give me, where did it go? Oh, so yeah, they gave me both of these for free. I offered to pay for both of them. They're like, nah, take it. This is actually a pre-production Sonora. In that, this part of the blade
Oh, yeah.
is different than what they ended up going with their full production version. It was like a machining limitation that they had at the time. But this was Martine's at one point, his personal Sonora.
Oh, really?
I wanted to build a scrap Sonora. That was initially what I wanted to do, but a lot of the scrap parts that they had things that they fell into that category of like, that would take too much to like try to piece that together.
Right.
So this is they had this one already built, and it has just a very polished look to it that makes it look super sick.
How did you go about getting Martine's personal one? Like, was it just laying around or?
They had a bin of what they called friends and family products, which were basically ones that they would sell for like a discount that were functional, but like they would sell for a discount for friends and family. And he knew how much I wanted one, and this was just one of the ones where he was like, yeah, like it's unique because it has a pre-production blade, and otherwise like it still works great and it's still proper, but it has a unique like polish to it. He's like, so if you want that one, I'm like, honestly, that sounds interesting enough. And he also, on this one as well, lasered onto it for me. Oh god, the light. Oh,
Oh, I saw it for a second.
42069. So I have two Machinewise products now. No, actually three. Because this says my Serif says B number 69 on it. And then I have my other Serif that says BC 69 and 42069. And then
Got a whole
42069.
collection going on there.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and another crazy thing in terms of just opening one's eyes to the machining they go through. This piece,
Yeah.
the thing that's attached to, that they have to attach it to be able to machine it, is this.
Yeah, the coin that they put in with the that's super cool.
Yeah, so this is done in the machining process, and they include it like in the box with it. But so, and I've seen them
No,
do
I
it.
love stuff like
This is
that.
a really thin piece, but they have to attach it to it, and they literally just pry it off. They pry off this piece, and then they just throw it back in the machine, and then they do the additional like little bits of it says this was your bolster is what it says on it.
That's super cool.
But it's also just kind of wild. It's like, oh my god, they have to have all of that for what is ultimately an extremely thin piece. And that
Right.
was another wild thing. This is the clip. That clip is made of titanium. And it takes, I don't even know if I have anything equivalent to it. Now, honestly, this is pretty close. It takes about this full amount of material, like this amount of titanium. Like, so imagine
Seriously?
this is a thing of titanium, a solid block of titanium. It takes that amount to make 2 of those clips.
Why? Wow, that's
Because
insane.
so it wraps around the bottom,
Oh,
and so because it wraps around the bottom, they have to have that amount of thickness for it, and then everything else just gets removed,
right.
and so they need it to be that thick and that long. So yeah, it's like a big block of titanium that produces 2 clips.
Wow.
And blocks of titanium are not cheap.
No, they're not.
So yeah, just so many things like that were just very eye-opening and unlike anything we had seen before in our previous trips to different places and stuff. But yeah, I'm very impressed by everything they've done.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up that I didn't ask about?
It depends
Because
if you're ready for
I was just gonna say I want the grand finale here.
okay. So. Oh, can I actually get this out of here? Okay. I don't have to get it out. So, I was given my Sonora,
Mm-hmm.
and Garrett was like, "Well, we have to send you out. We have to send you with a box, and which means you have to have a QC card. But we can't give you any QC card." So he goes to the computer, and they have their program where they can change everything that's on the QC card.
Right.
And he's like, "We're not just going to do the handwritten stuff. We're going to completely change this." So I wish I had one of their normal actual QC cards so I could compare it. But so what we have. Oh, wait. Let me properly. Here, wait. No, I'll use the other QC card to block it. So what we have is. Oh my God. I'm a professional. There we go. So what we
Oh
have
my god.
is Sonora 2 for
Uh-huh.
2069. And then the next line is the blade steel. And so for the blade steel, they did BC 69
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it says on it. And then they have the hardness rating for it. But Garrett just put harder, daddy.
Oh my god.
And then the blade shape, which normally would be I don't actually know what the actual I believe it's drop point is the blade shape of it. I could be wrong though. He just put phallic. And then for the handle texture, normally it's like I think sometimes they call it like fine step of something, but it's something
Okay.
step. There's different step textures. So naturally he put dubstep. Uh and then the bolster, which is normally made of I think it's copper or titanium, or not copper, brass or titanium. He put bolster, I hardly know her, and I don't have to hide the rest. And then for the clip, it says clip that chat. And then for handle, it just says handle me gently. Final QC check,
No.
no. And then the date of birth is I chose the first date and he chose the second date. If you would like to know what happened on those dates, Google them. And I'm sorry. And then we had another one that we didn't like as
Is it
much, but it says clip yes. But we really like the clip that chat.
clip
And
that
so
chat
this is
is
my
so good.
official Martine didn't and Dalen did not sanction this. So Martine and Dalen, if you're seeing for this the first time and are upset that I'm showing it off, I'm sorry. They will not do this for any random person. This is purely goblin brain energy. And it's amazing. But then the other thing that they did. I actually had very little to do with any of this, but Will and Garrett it was a beautiful merging of two people and the things that they are interested in. Both fantastic people, obviously. They wanted to see how much they could fit onto a QC card. And something that exists that's relatively easy to find on the internet is the entire script for
It's the
certain
B movie. It's
movies.
the fucking movie. It's the B movie. It's the. I knew it as soon as I saw
So
the tiny text.
on this QC card
It's the B movie.
is
It's
the
always the B
entirety
movie.
of the script
It's
of the B movie.
it's always the B movie. I knew it
And
as soon as I saw that stupid card. It's
and
always the
it
B movie.
and you can't see, even with the naked eye, what this actually says beyond like line like 2 or 3. But we had a jewelry magnifying glass. And I
As you
promise
do.
you that all of this is completely legible. It is all entirely legible with
Oh
a
my
magnifying
god.
glass.
It's like the
According to
people who
all
write
known
on
laws of
rice.
aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies away because bees don't care what humans think is possible.
Flies anyway.
Yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow. But yeah, I could get to line like 4 or 5 before. Oh, also my bad. I'm completely out of focus. Um, but yeah, I have 2 of these because it took multiple attempts for them
Oh
to be
my
able to
god.
do it. But so if anybody ever asks me for my, like, if I'm at like a business event and they're like, "Oh, do you have a card?" Yeah, sure. Here, I'll hand them this and a magnifying glass, and they'll be
Is
able
it
to
metal?
experience. It's metal. Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's
that's
metal.
beautiful.
Yep. And so they really had to put their laser engraver to the test. But yes,
Holy.
so Will has one, Garrett has multiple. I think he's gonna make more of them. I think Will actually paid for like a bunch of their QC cards so he could get a bunch of them. So maybe you'll get one at Blade Show. Who knows? Um, but yeah. So
That's
the fact that
insane.
I have the entire B movie script on the equivalent of a playing card that's legible is pretty insane.
That's pretty special.
Pretty insane. Oh, also another random thing. This is they eventually the coins that they have wherever the hell the box went, these coins, they have to manually cut off these pieces of brass. And so Jacob, their like head machinist, he just gave this to me after I filmed B-roll of him cutting it. So that's another memento I have from the trip, is just
You
a
just
raw piece of brass.
you're walking around this place and people are handing you things like it's the Willy Wonka factory. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
yeah, yeah.
Did they also have the squirrels?
Yeah. Yeah, they had the whole thing. They had people in like little gazebos, like it was a flea market, or like the Ren Fair, like just giving away, or like when you go on like a cruise and you have all the random people that like run up to you and like just put things on you and like expect
Mm-hmm.
you to buy it. Uh,
Right.
yeah, they just kept doing that. They just can't kept handing these things out. Yeah, they kept handing me cards and a magnifying glass and said, "Read, read."
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. But so it was a lot of challenges with it. It ended up being probably the most stressful shoot Will and I have ever done. Like, period. There was a lot of different curveballs thrown at us, a lot of scheduling conflicts. I ended up getting mildly sick. Will got a little sick. Dalen had a
Oh,
couple of emergencies. So we were pushed to our limit, for sure. But everybody was awesome and everybody was patient with us. And so there will be 5 to 6 full videos
damn.
documenting everything. Uh, which the reason that was stressful was because we were having to shoot different parts of different videos out of order. Like, so part of video 1 was shot on day 2, and then another part of video 4 was shot on day 2, and some of video 3, and then the other half of video 5 was shot on day 3, but then the first half was filmed on day 4, and like, yeah, it was all over the place. So hopefully
Oh
it'll
my
all edit
god.
together. Yeah.
Watch out for those continuity errors. All you
Honestly, I
Easter egg
don't know that there
hunters.
will be. I don't know that there will be. We had to be
Oh, I'll
extremely
be
diligent about
I'll
making
be
sure that
looking.
there won't be. And poor Will, we were only supposed to do like 1 to 2 days of YouTube video shooting, but we essentially ended up doing 5. And he only brought 2 of his shirts, but he had to keep wearing the same shirt because we kept filming more of the videos on separate days. Uh, but yeah, it was great. We also went to Penchetta, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
they carry a ton of Machinewise products and stuff. And it was incredibly cool story. If you're in the Phoenix area, Penchetta has the best setup for balla songs in the entire world, bar none, no comparison point. It is the most complete collection of balla songs in person that you can buy, and a
Very
complete
cool.
demo area with some demo units that like products that you can't get anymore, like Fellowship Blades products and stuff like that. Yeah, they had
Ooh.
Acid Works, Fellowship Blades, Squid Industries, uh, Flytanium, Machinewise. There was another very notable maker that was there that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But yeah, they had a whole demo
That's
area that
crazy.
like super open to let you try stuff. They had a full collection of Zippy mods.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that you could just take. So like, yeah, all the models that they carried, they had most of Zippy's mods available, so you could customize it then
Dude.
and there.
Can you
Um,
guys expand it? We can ignore that. Can you guys expand can you guys expand to
I'm
every major
believing you
US
so hard.
state?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
That'd be
So,
friggin' awesome.
yeah, Lance, the guy who owns the store, awesome person. So we made a video with them too, going over the store and exploring it.
Cool. I'm actually pretty excited to see that.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. It'll be good. But yeah, if you have any questions in the comments, dear viewer,
Oh, that
I'll do my
happened.
best to answer. Um, there's a lot of stuff to tell, and I only scratch the surface in terms of like the topics that we cover and all the videos and stuff. So I think even you will be particularly interested to see the processes, but also get to know
Oh,
all the different
definitely.
people. The one thing I can prepare people for is the way it ended up working out and kind of where Machinewise is at. Dalen is in the videos extremely little. Like maybe less than out of the total runtime that the videos will be, he's basically only in the very beginning of the first video and then the very end of the last video. Everything else
Mm.
is led by Martine, but that's what ended up kind of being cool. Martine hosted a lot of it, but then a lot of it was hosted by Jacob, their machinist, and then some of it was hosted by William, or not fully hosted. They were all co-hosted with Will, but co-hosted with William, co-hosted with their finishing tech Quoke, co-hosted
Ooh,
with Garrett. So there's going to be a full video that's NRB Garrett, so you'll get to know him through that and see
cool.
how his mind ticks, how he tunes things, see how stuff is anodized. Will actually learns to anodize in the video, which is really neat. It was a cool process. So William co-hosts that, so you really get a feel for the whole Machinewise team
Oh, that's gonna
uh,
be awesome.
while there. So yeah, it'll be cool. No idea when those videos are going to come out. At this stage, it might be post Blade Show, but we'll see. We will see.
I, for one, am extremely excited. I don't know. I took a small break for like the past month, and I haven't like watched any Ballast Song YouTube or anything. And I came back, and I don't. Have you been watching any Ballast Song YouTube lately?
I actually chimed in to a couple of ghost flipping videos, a couple of the buffness videos, but honestly, a lot of what I've been doing, um, for reasons that I'll announce at a separate time, I've been watching a lot of just more knife focused videos. Actually,
Oh,
one of the biggest like EDC channels just released a video on the surf. Oh,
oh, me
well,
when I hold up the surf of camera death.
yeah, it came like a wave, but
We'll be right back. Bump bump, but that's the wrong song.
ba-da-ba-da. No, it could be that. Please just come back. Okay, we're back. Yay.
Oh, oh,
We're back. We're good.
I might not even
Sorry.
have to edit that.
Maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, I'll pick it up like you do have to edit it. One of the biggest knife YouTube or one of the biggest EDC YouTube channels just released a video about the surf, like doing a proper like durability and like cutting test of it and stuff like
Oh,
that.
I'll have to
And it
watch
was
that.
really interesting under getting into an EDC focused person's head as to like what they're looking for in a pocket knife. As my own collection has grown with the Sonora, with the Surf, I haven't shown this yet. I also have this bad boy
What the fuck is that?
from that's too close, from a company you may or may not have heard of.
Oh, Max
A company that will
Ace.
be at Blade Show.
Really?
Yeah, Maxis is going to be at Blade Show this year.
That is fascinating.
And the one thing I will say is I've been learning way more about opening mechanisms. This looked really smooth. This thing is so annoying to open, and you basically can't open it with one hand. What I did there was I opened it a little bit, and then I flicked it open. But this is basically you have to have two hands to open it and close it, which has been exposing me to the different types of opening mechanisms. And I recognize that I have spoiled myself by starting so early with something like this that's so
Yeah.
fidgetable and so much fun to mess with. And then, so this is a very well made knife, but it is not fidget friendly.
Yeah, there's so
But
many
it's a very interesting
choices.
space. Yeah.
There's so many choices that folding knife manufacturers make that I'm just like, why? Like, what's the benefit? I don't really get it. Why is
Yeah.
there a locking mechanism where I have to put my finger where the blade is about to go to unlock it? I don't really
Yeah.
freaking understand that. Doesn't make a lot
Yeah.
of sense. Why
Yeah.
can't I open it with one hand?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's a fascinating world for sure, and it's cool to see Balisong companies kind of take their expertise with Balisongs and expand that. Because even the surf runs on bearings, so it doesn't use a bushing mechanism, which totally makes sense for the pricing of it.
Hmm.
After now understanding how difficult it is to do bushings on this, um, but it has that fidget factor, which is really nice. So it's really cool. So it's going to be interesting to see Squid Industries and Machinewise both having folders out at
Yeah,
Blade Show. That
definitely.
was an interesting topic that I have more context for. Is that Machinewise, Martine has moved Machinewise out of the Balisong area
Oh, so it was
for
their
this year's Blade
conscious
Show.
decision.
Yes,
Okay.
very calculated.
I was
Because
wondering if it was a decision or if they just like didn't get in early enough or they got assigned over there or what the deal was.
no, yeah, it was very. It is kind of an experiment. Maybe they'll move back next year, but from what I understand, that would be somewhat difficult to do. But the reason they did that is because, as I mentioned earlier, ballast songs are not the thing that they rely on to pay the bills. And being in the ballast song area with people constantly in front of your booth flipping isn't that great for selling pocket knives to people
Right.
that aren't interested in ballast songs. Um, but so the intent is that other people will mostly be running the Machinewise booth, or so the silver lining of it is that other people will be running the Machinewise booth, and that will free up Dalen and Martine to hang out in the Balisong area more properly and not have
Okay,
to worry
cool.
as much about selling stuff because they really want to hang out with the Balisong people in the Balisong area. Um, but they also want to be able to sell things more more efficiently than they could if they were in the Balisong area. So that's their kind of middle ground of being able to properly focus on enjoying the show and still being able to sell things. So, and they'll still be
Right.
there. Like they'll still have their ballad songs, but you'll just have to go to the other room to do it. So
Well,
yeah,
cool.
pretty interesting stuff. But I'm excited for Blade Show.
Same.
Yeah,
Very excited. 2 weeks away, almost ish.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's with how many highs there were in Blade Show 2024. I'm very curious to see how this year is going to compare.
I'm almost kind of going into it knowing that it won't reach that height, which I know isn't a
Yeah,
great
I'm not
mindset to
expecting
have, but
it to.
like I there's just so many little things that have already happened. People who won't be showing up or companies that won't be kind of machine wise not being in the place that they were last year. Stuff like that that's like I don't know, 2024 might end up being like peak Blade Show for a little bit. We'll see.
We'll see.
I hope I'm
Yeah,
proven wrong. I really do. Blade Show is always a stellar experience. So even if it doesn't live up, we're still talking about like highlight of the year, even if it
yeah, I'm
doesn't live up to last year.
Yeah, I think a lot of the outside of Blade Show stuff is going to still be particularly cool.
Yeah.
Especially like the plans that you and I have with different people, like,
Mm-hmm.
and even just us individually. I think that will be really neat getting to do all that stuff. But yeah, if you're going to Blade Show, let us know in the comments because we want to say hi. We want to chat. And I'm not going to be working myself to the goddamn bone like I did in Blade Show 2024 and hopefully not have my tonsils hurting every time I talk, like I
Yeah.
did last year. I'm very much going to be purposing to actually spend time with people. We're still going to be making videos and all that, but having been to Blade Show Texas this year and then Blade Show West last year, I just love being able to just properly chat with people, chat with the makers,
Right.
chat with the fans, chat with just flippers in general, get people's feedback on different things. I love being able to do that, and I don't want to only be able to focus on making videos. I want to be able to actually hang out. So
As it should be.
yeah, yeah.
As it should be. If you want to experience Blade Show, quit making us do videos about it and go your damn self. I'm just kidding. That's quite
Get
mean
off
of
your
me.
sorry ass.
Get off your sorry. No one in this country wants to work anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Just make more money so you can go to a show that is potentially a very expensive flight away.
Simple.
That's all it takes. Yeah, just
Just
yeah, get some of that trickle down economics, brother.
pull
And
yourself up
just
by your damn bootstraps and go to
bootstraps.
Blade
Yeah,
Show.
yeah.
Anyway.
Ooh, no, I'm not gonna say what I wanted to say. Anyway, thank you for watching the Blade Bias podcast. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. I have so much I can share about the Machinewise stuff, but also check out Machinewise. They're cool. Check out LDY, check out Nabalis, check out Glider, all the things we talked about. Blade Bias has a fantastic amount of videos that are all wonderful. Ethan does a wonderful job with that, so give it all a watch.
And Brandon
look-see.
has some awesome stuff that's coming out eventually, and some stuff that's
Eventually.
already come out.
Yeah, so that is an exciting thing. There won't just be YouTube videos that come out of this Machinewise thing. Half of what we produced will be stuff directly for them. So you'll get
okay,
to really dive into their processes, getting to know the people in the company, the development of each product, and like what it's meant to be, and like all that kind of stuff. Like there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff that comes out of that. Kind of similar to what I did with Squid Industries in 2021, where
Right.
there were some more direct videos for them, stuff like that. And I'm currently working on one of them right now, and I'm extremely proud of it. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff to look out for there that won't be on my channel or your channel or anything like that. But it's some cool stuff. So
There you go.
there they go, and there we go. Until next time in 2 to 6 months when we film another one of these.
Yeah, with Blade Show at my
Maybe we'll do a idea in-person Blade Bias podcast.
If you can make it happen, we can do it.
I can make it happen.
If you can make it happen, we can do it. I'm so down.
That could be fun.
Because
we'll see.
We will have plenty of extra time.
Yep.
Maybe.
Like actually, yeah. No, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a great idea. I want to do more in-person stuff for YouTube again, but
well, especially in a situation like this where we talked about all these different products, it would actually be great to actually be able to show them, and like I could just hand it to you, and you could feel the fun thing. Yeah, I'll hand it. Ooh, check out my knife, Ethan. Check it out. Anyway, I'll stab you later, internet.
Please don't demonetize us.
Yeah. Oh no, you're not gonna make the $1.50 in ad revenue.
Yeah, no. I just yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Love you.
Sometime. Yeah.